All right, welcome back. It is still News Up. Yes, we are diving straight into our very next conversation. Remember I told you that sometime during this broadcast, my colleague would join me from Port Harcourt. Yes, Ben Wakama is with me on this this morning. Ben, good morning. Welcome. So good to have you.
So good to have you, David. Good morning.
All right, Ben, we would hope that engineers would deal with the signal concerns there. I know we can do this together this morning. Yes, 2nd of April is World Autism Day, and it's important we drag this conversation for you so you begin to understand what autism really means. Many have misconceived it to be an illness or a disorder or a sickness or a disease, but then the experts have come to say it is none of the above. It's just the brain working differently from how you expect it to work. Well, we have the expert in the house this morning. We have a care advocate, Dotun Akonde, with us this morning to bring more understanding into autism in Nigeria. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you, David. Good morning.
Good morning. And do I say happy World Autism Day or happy World Autism Month? Yes. You know, it's important that we celebrate it. These are individuals that also needs to be celebrated one way or the other.
Yes, because we need to talk about their strengths.
Yes.
Many times we see the deficits and we don't see the strength. So thank you for bringing us on.
So let's start off with an understanding of what autism really means. I know there's a bit of misconception there, what it is, but you are the expert here. Help us bring clarity around that confusion.
Yeah, autism is a developmental disorder. I call it a different brain, but really it's a developmental disorder that starts from childhood. You don't get autism when you're an adult. You start from childhood, and it affects 4 major areas. Communication, meaning that the child sometimes doesn't speak, or when he speaks, he doesn't even understand. He doesn't speak in the way that we speak. He might have a different type of voice, maybe a cartoon voice, or maybe he would just be saying things that he enjoys and likes, and be talking about maybe a car. I like cars, my car is this. And then we have in the area of behavior. The child behaves in an odd manner that is not regularly understood by the community, by the public. And then we have in the social skills, the child does not play with other children, tends to want to play alone, moves in isolation. And then in the sensory part of it, meaning that is either over or under sensitive to sound, light, taste, touch, smell. So those are the areas that we look at when we are saying we are looking out for signs of autism.
Okay, so one can convincingly say it is a child with special needs.
Yes. We can say it's a child with special needs. We can say, and then sometimes you have some of them adding some form of unusual affinity to a particular thing, maybe like an object or a toy or maybe a scarf or something that gives them some form of comfort. So that's how we view autism, and it starts from childhood. We can't get it as an adult.
All right, fantastic. So, like I asked you before the lights came on, what are the major causes of autism? Have we found out what it is?
The jury is still out on the major, why in quotes, but we are suspecting that it has to do with genetics. It has to do with environmental factors, some of the toxins I've seen. Why do we say that? When the children come to us and then we change their diet a little bit, we remove some form of either gluten or casein from their diet, we see a totally different child. I mean, so we clean up their gut, because we now know that the gut is the second brain. What we eat is who we are. You know, so when we clean up the gut of some of those children, we see a totally different child. You know, the brain works in a different manner, and that child is able to function in our own environment, which is sometimes a huge challenge for them. Going out into the crowd, into the public, is a huge challenge because they don't understand. Their brain does not process all the information.
Activities around.
All the information that is gathering. Their brain does not sift out the ones that are important. It takes everything in. It gives them some form of anxiety. And then we begin to see that the child.
So probably have a series of waves interference, signals interferences.
Exactly.
Here and there.
The neural pathways are jamming one way or the other. So the child just goes into a full meltdown. So when you see the child, either pacing or running or hyperactive, you know that he's trying to desensitize himself or herself.
So I'm happy you started off by saying let's begin to look at the positives. Let's begin to look at the values that some of them can add to society. I stand corrected. I think I saw an article where there was a child, an inventor that is autistic.
Oh, there are so many.
Yes.
And even in Nigeria, we have our Kanye Chukwu Tagbo Keke, who just won the Guinness World Record for painting the largest canvas by a single individual in the world. So you can imagine, that is Kanye, who struggles with communication skills, struggles with social skills, and is struggling in his own way with functional life skills. But in that struggles, he takes solace in his artwork, in his drawing, in his in his painting. So those are things that we see in our children that takes us out, makes us think that there's something inside that we still have not discovered. We have our Emeka right here in Nigeria, who can tell you what day of the week it is in 2nd of July,
Are you kidding me?
1934.
Are you kidding me?
And can give you the day of the week that it is. So right here in Nigeria, we have our voice, the voice coach, Remi Olutimai. I'm just giving you instances of those in Nigeria who struggled as a child with autism, and is the first voice coach ever in the whole of the country. So you can imagine they're there.
So we can beat autism. We can beat it.
We can beat it. I'm a mother of a young man who has a PhD in mathematics. So I can tell you for free that we can beat it. We can beat it. That was what inspired me to set up the center that I run in Lagos. So it's a win-win.
Yes.
If the parents accept. So we have to go to that as well.
So I think that is the next conversation that we should have. Yes. When you accept, you now understand. You now begin to look for how to understand the issue and how to deal with the issue.
Exactly. Yeah. The parents must accept that something is not quite right. We must move away from this is not my portion in Jesus' name. And then focus on what this child carries. Kanye Chukwu's parents, you can imagine if they did not focus on his love for art, he wouldn't be the Guinness Book of Records winner today. So it's something that you must take on. Once you take it on, the child understands that you see me. Another thing we take for granted is that many times we assume that the children don't understand. Because they are struggling does not mean they do not understand. The minute they get that acceptance from the family, like you see me first before the challenges, then we now figure out how we can support that child in his area of gifting. There is nobody God created without gifts.
Without a gift.
Yeah.
So what call will you be making to parents this morning, and how do they even start the process of accepting what is right in front of them?
I know that sometimes parents can be despondent because we all want our children to be lawyers, doctors, engineers, and then when the child deviates from it, it becomes a challenge. It's okay for you for a while, to wallow in your, in your self-pity, in yourself. Look at this is not what I signed up for. But please, there has to be a time when you have to wake up. Find somebody that has walked that road before and let the person hold your hand. It's a lonely road, but it's a road that you must walk. Without that walking through that road, that child cannot survive this ever busy, confusing world that we have. And the child needs to survive because there's going to be a time where you are going to have to go and leave that child behind.
Yes.
And you have to make sure that that child has a functional life skills. It's sad when we see them at 5 and then they are still wearing diapers and they say he does not understand potty training. No, his cognitive skills are intact. It's just the rewiring that is needed. And you can help that child rewire slowly. You can help him detach those neural pathways that are formed that are wrong and reconnect with the right neural pathways. And this can only be done with experiences. The parents need to give that child good experiences that can lead that child towards the road of recovery. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. I mean, we've seen a child that has come to us at 5 with no speech, now speaks 3 languages.
Fantastic.
So you can imagine it's not one person. We don't even need to look far when we are looking at people that have done well with autism all over the world. We have them at the center. We have one that plays the piano for the children. He teaches in the classroom. So I mean, they do they do have good skills if we believe in them and we trust that they will do well.
You know, it bothered me when I asked you earlier before the lights came on as well, if the numbers are increasing, and you did say it is increasing,
yes.
And sadly we don't have an understanding why the numbers are increasing, which further pushes the need for this conversation,
yes.
for us to thrive, to understand how we can deal. If we know what causes it, we'll begin to deal with the causes.
Just like cancer.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
The earlier you catch it.
They tell you don't do this, don't do that.
Yes. And then, like I said to you earlier, in the past it used to be 1 in 150. Now it's 1 in 34. And then it's a boy disorder. Before you find a girl in a group of 10, you would have seen 8 boys. You know, so it's a boy disorder at a ratio of 4 to 1. So you can imagine it's more prominent in boys. Why is it more prominent in boys? We don't know. But people say that the girls are much more good at copying skills. So when they see their mates doing certain things, they copy the skills and then they function in the social terrain. But they still struggle internally with anxiety, with depression. So the girls sometimes are missed in the mist.
Wow. All right, so let's look at where we are as a country and what we are doing as a nation. If Nigeria as a nation had come to terms with the fact that this is an existing concern that should be dealt with, and begin to look at policies of government, begin to look at attempts at government, maybe setting up centers, bringing in experts and all of that. Do we have any of such in Nigeria so far?
None of such so far, because autism is not even acknowledged in the area of special needs. I mean, because why is it not acknowledged? It's an invisible disorder. There is no way you can see a child with autism and you can tell that this child is autistic. It does not have any facial presentation. It does not have any body presentation. So it's the parents that tend to fight for the survival of their children. The government has done absolutely nothing in terms of putting up centers, bringing up specialists. It's the parents that have come together to do this, to make this happen. And the voice of the parents is the one that will carry those policies. If we don't stop talking, just like I am doing today, we will continue to speak about it until somebody up there. We are beginning to see better traction as with regards to advocacy, and then we are also beginning to see more people coming up with policies. The other day I saw somebody ask us to sign a petition that inclusive schools must have good hands that work with our children. What happens is that everybody just goes and grabs somebody. Can you do it? Come and try it. Can you do it? Come and try it. Nobody brings in the specialist, because also therapy is expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive because the 4 areas I have to I called earlier. You need a specialist in speech, you need a specialist in behavior, you need a specialist in social skill development. Probably a teacher would be able to do that. Then you need an occupational therapist in sensory dysfunction. So in those 4 areas, you need those 4 specialists. How do you get those 4 specialists in this Nigeria of today? How many parents can afford to take on those 4 specialists?
Now,
So
these are areas that government can come in some form of subsidy.
Support,
Yes,
subsidize it, or give the parents some form of what we call.
What I mean subsidy, maybe just set up a center and then bring all the experts in there and pay the experts.
Yes, or even give a rebate. Go into the centers and strengthen the ones that are on ground. Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't want to do it. Strengthen the ones that are on ground. Put policies in place, put standards in place, and make sure that everybody meets these standards. I mean, everybody's just doing what they like in the field of autism today. We have centers springing up here and there all over the place. Nobody is monitoring what we are doing. And those are things, areas where the government can come in, put standards in place, standardize it, and let parents get value for their money. Most of the time what we are seeing is that schools are increasing. Oh, your child has special needs, they will add more fees to you for you to bring your child into their school because they need more hands to be able to
handle. Yeah.
For us now, we have about 58 children. We have 48 members of staff running after.
Wow, it's like 1-to-1.
Oh, exactly, because we need it. It's not that because we want to have it. It's because we have to have the hands for us to be able to give good service to the parents. If they are paying, they might as well pay, to get good service. So those are the things that we have done privately.
My attention was drawn to a concern around autism whilst we were talking. I did ask you what are the causes of autism. There are talks around town that lifestyles of even the carrier, which is the woman, can also cause that. Infection can also cause. These are talks around town, so it's not been scientifically proven. So I don't know what your thoughts around that could be.
We always most of the time blame the women that carry the but we know that for autism to occur, there's an insult either in vitro, that is when the child is in the belly, or when the child is out. There is still the case of the vaccine that parents can swear about, that it was when they gave their children the vaccine that the child had a fever and autism setting and this and that. So there's still that case that is hanging in the air,
unresolved.
But the parents too need to clean up their diet if they are going to have children. We are seeing now that more children that come up to us with autism have what we call children that are done through IVF. We are seeing IVF also bringing that into fore.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. We are seeing children that are born through cesarean section. So there are so many things coming up all over the place about autism. Why is it rising so much? Because some people claim that the birth pathway, the natural birth pathway, just like the butterfly, if you break it, the butterfly dies. You allow it to come on its own. The natural pathway builds some form of reflexes. The reflexes that the child is supposed to have, that is supposed to have been retained, is lost in the birth canal, which is good. But for the child that has that was born through cesarean section, those reflexes are intact. So they always have the flight and fright senses when they see things. So the first thing is that the body is already on the defensive. They did not lose those reflexes before coming into. So it's a whole gamut.
So since it's not clear, I think it's important that as a parent or parent-to-be, you take your health a lot more seriously. Yes. All right, Ben, let's speak to you now, hoping that the signal is better. Yes, Ben, to you now.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to ask a couple of questions, but for this, I want to know exactly what has been the compliance by former campaigns that they've done, and looking at this theme, what has been the compliance that's from the government, well-meaning individuals, on how to make sure that they take care of those children that got special needs? How many of their centers that are in every state? How many professionals do they have to cater? What is the statistics of this particular set of very special children? So what has been the compliance by everybody in the society in order to make sure that this comes to a fruition? And then again, is there any way that autism could be stopped or checked from children from birth?
Okay, I heard about the first one, about what has been the plan. Yes, the compliance level is in the government is zero. Every activity that you see in the autism space is done by parents or caregivers that have decided to open centers to support these families. So it is the caregivers and the parents that are the driving force. I remember in 2005 when we started the campaign of autism awareness, there was absolutely nothing on ground. And then in 2006, when we opened the center, we were the first center to open for children, specifically for children with autism. But now you have more centers all over the nation springing up. And the support is being given by individuals, just like yours. They come to us, oh, we want to open a center, we want you to train our staff, we want you to support this. We've been able to do that in collaborating with other people all over the nation. But the main government organization that is supposed to make this happen is not there. They are not available. There are no centers by the government. So, and I think he asked a second question.
No, I think the question he asked was something that we talked about initially.
Okay.
Well, what are the courses? How can it be brought to the BRS minimum?
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yes, Ben. Your final thoughts, if any.
And the should.
All right, Ben. We apologize. We apologize. The signal is still not very fantastic. But I think the work is done. Our work on this is done. Have you thought about sponsoring a bill for autism?
I think there was a time that a group of people were looking to sponsor a bill at the time. I always say that I'm very good with advocacy.
Sponsoring the bill is also a form of advocacy.
I don't want to do everything because there's so much we're doing already. We're training, we're supporting parents that don't have money. So we've taken on children that their parents cannot afford services as scholarship. You know, so those are things that we are doing. And then so we are encouraging other parents that are coming up. Since you are a lawyer, you can help us with policies and sponsor a bill and then see how that works out. But we are in the works of coming together as a team, collaborating and setting up a national program that will benefit all children. So we do not just limit ourselves to Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt, and we look out for the other people in the other areas, like in Borno and in Bayelsa and all that. So
I'm really hoping or wishing that we have data to back up some of these things. Maybe that would have been a good start in terms of understanding the causes of this. If you take it by region and say this region seems to be having the lowest autism cases, you go to this region, it's increasing by this figure. Maybe that could also give us an idea of.
That would be a good one to give us a good insight.
Yeah, insight.
Because we don't really have to rely on data from international communities.
No, let's
localize.
Yes,
we can create our own in our own little way. Funnily enough, Cradle Lounge, one of the parents, is also doing something very good with the community. So she's going into the local government areas to bring out the local government chairman and the House of Reps representative, to kind of support these families in the grassroots level. So she's doing a great work in that. Sholakwe is doing very well with that.
On the final thought here, if a lawyer walks up to you or a group of concerned Nigerians walks up to you now and say they want to sponsor a bill, what would you think should be in that bill?
The first thing is to recognize that these children exist. The second thing is to look for subsidy in terms of supporting the families to get therapy. Because if we miss early intervention, therapy time doubles. Something we could have done in a year, we now have to do it in 2 or sometimes even 3. So subsidy in terms of intervention, early intervention, and making sure that these parents get early intervention, and then capacity building for the people that will handle them. We need the capacity building. We need the subsidy for the parents. We need standardized.
Some form of regulations.
Yes, some form of regulation.